Hello everyone, welcome to Saturday. Here's my table. Let's have a talk. Well, hello everyone, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. And my daughter sort of said, why don't you introduce it as Model Haircut? Because I got my haircut this week. No, let's not do that. Anyway, we've mentioned it now, should be happy. So, yes, I've had my haircut, the summer is here, and I'm gearing up. I'm away, well, I'm not away, but I have a week, well, I am away. I have a week off coming up, so we've got all of next week to get out of the way, which is the start of the school holidays. So yesterday would have been the last day for both my daughters at college and school, and then they've got 2 weeks off. Well, I work from home, so I have to put up with them milling around and thinking that I'm on holiday too, even though I'm not. They still expect me to make their lunch and stuff like that, so we'll be nipping that in the bud this time. But then the second week, I'm ready for a break. I haven't had a break since Christmas. I'm ready for a holiday. So, gonna have a week off. I've sort of negotiated modelling in the morning, go and do something in the afternoon. It seemed to go down okay. So, we're all good. Anyway, if you're a new subscriber, a massive welcome to the Model Kit Stuff family. I'm sure you'll find something of interest within the 4.5 years of worth of videos that we now have. So if you're a long-standing subscriber, you know exactly what to expect, but just in case you're not, what we do on Table Talk is we talk about what's going on, we talk about the builds, the plans for the builds, things that are going on in the background, we talk about the family, and I do go off at a tangent every now and then we also talk about what happened last week, what's immediately coming up. So it gives you just a good round picture as to what's going on, and we might talk about other things, kit releases and so on and so forth. And we have something new coming along. We'll talk about that later on, which I'm hoping that you guys will find really interesting, helpful, both. I don't know. So, here we go. Let's start with what went on last week. So, Monday kicked off the week with the first impressions of the Albion 3-point fueler. That ended up being the first of two first impressions this week. I spoilt you. So yeah, actually a 10-year-old kit that performs really well. Not quite to modern standards of Airfix, but not far off. There wasn't anything wrong with it other than that front windscreen glazing, which really needed sorting out. And that's probably not a design issue, it's probably a manufacturing issue. But yeah, I mean, it just detracts from the whole model, so you need to scratch build something around it. Now, I said in that video it'd be great if Airfix brought out more 148 ground crew sort of stuff. Now, they do have another vehicle which you can use as ground crew, 148, that's also out. It's the same cost as the Albion, but it's not overtly ground support like the tanker is. However, at some point during 2025, Airfix are bringing out some 1:48 scale ground crew figures, and you'll get some chocks and bits and pieces like that. So I had to think about what I wanted to do, and I've got my mind on a group build here for next year. This is, see, forward thinking. And I've gone and ordered myself a Mark 1 Hurricane this week. So what I'm thinking is Albion fueler, Hurricane, figures, little airfield diorama type of thing. So yeah, I'm not going to disclose what my plan is on the group builders yet, but that's sort of where my head's going. So I've built an Airfix Hurricane before. I've built one on the channel. We did the tropical one. Turned out really nice. It'd be nice to do this one in sort of Battle of Britain colours, and in fact one of the paint schemes has a red spinner, and I think that's based in Devon, so absolutely would have seen action 1940. So very much looking forward to doing something a little bit different, because in the last diorama we did was 135. The one we did before that, the Tiger Tank, that was 135. I'm not even sure if I've ever done a diorama in 1:48 scale, so that could make for a bit of fun. So yeah, that's sort of where my head has gone with that. But the kit itself, otherwise really nice. When you look closely on the Airfix website at the pictures of it made up, it looks like the two halves of the tank, top and bottom, don't fit at all. There's a huge join line where it's not lined up, so I think the underside might be oversized to the upper side, in which case the modeler has chosen not to smooth down the sides because he'd lose the shape, whereas perhaps he could have cut it in half at the bottom and reduced it down. So there might be some interesting little challenges in that build when you look at it closely. But I maintain a nice little kit, not overly complex, should be a lot of fun. So that was Monday. Then Wednesday we had a double whammy. So we kicked off with the Sherborne part 16, and we did installing all of those deck fittings that we'd been building up, and the eyes and bits and pieces, and the cat heads gratings and bits and pieces like that. It's been really nice to see one or two more build progress images in the social group on the Sherborne. So some people have got to the point where they've got the decks in, other people have completed first planking. So yeah, it's really nice to see people having a crack at it and progressing it, and doing a good job, you know, doing a really good job. And you've got to remember, when you've never done it before, don't think for a minute that I did as good a job on my first one as I've done on this one, because I absolutely didn't. It was all over the show. With the first one, it was a complete mess, and every time you do it, it gets a little bit better. And I think my third model was probably the one where I felt like I'd done the planking okay, and I was happy with it, which was good because there was no painting of the hull on that one. And then the fourth one I did was the Artelacina San Francisco 2, and that was single planked in hardwood. So that was a hard job, and I didn't do a perfect job of it, but everyone who looks at it goes, "Whoa, that looks really good," because it's all varnished wood. So, you know, don't worry about it. And the fact that you're painting it and you can therefore fill it means that you're going to end up with a nice looking hull, no matter how well you were able to put the planking down. So just what I'd say is, if you're finding it tough going with a Sherborne, lay a plank, walk away, go and do something else. It's not a race. Take your time. Do it when your head's in the right space, and you're not got any distractions, and just concentrate one plank at a time. You know, eat that elephant one bite at a time, and you will get there, I promise you. Yeah, and you'll be really proud once you've got past that hull. The rest of it's fairly plain sailing, to be honest. I'll be showing you my Sherborne later when we talk about what was on the bench. Anyway, that was the first. The second one that came out on Wednesday was this, which, you know, straddles a stash ad and all sorts of stuff. So I mentioned last week that I suspected this was imminent because of the sort of the groundswell of rumblings we were hearing and within a day or two it was out. Now, some people were able to get first impressions videos out on Monday, I think. I suspect those people were all given the kit because I pre-ordered as well, and I think that I got notification of delivery coming on Friday, and I received it on Monday. Is that right? Yep. And then I recorded it Tuesday, uploaded it, and well, I attempted to upload it Tuesday night and it went wrong, so I had to upload it again Wednesday morning. So my original plan was actually to shift Sherborne to Thursday and put this out at the 8 o'clock Wednesday slot, but because the upload hadn't worked and I had to cancel it and start again, I wouldn't have had anything for my 8 o'clock slot. So I left Sherborne where it was, and then we just chucked this out later on. So this went out just after lunchtime, sort of half 1, 2 o'clock, something like that. If you haven't seen it, go and catch it. I really enjoyed reviewing this. As you know, I'm not really an aircraft person. I build what's interesting, and I'm a jet aircraft person even less. You know, if I'm going to build an aeroplane, I like it to have floats on it. I like it to be a seaplane. But when I don't, I want it to have a propeller on it. So I don't do jets very often. I do have some jets in my stash. In a former life, as many of you know, I work in procurement, and a lot of that time was spent in the defence industry, within sort of fabrication and what have you. And I did work for BAE Systems, British Aerospace that was, and we had a Vulcan at the airfield there, in anti-nuclear white flash, which is now parked outside the Avro Museum on the site of the former Woodford site. And so I know that aircraft quite well. I remember seeing it fly at the Woodford Air Show in the early 80s. So I got quite a bit of an affinity with the Vulcan, so I've got that in the stash. And I've got the Delta 2 because I used to work at Ferry Engineering, and you know that I'm trying to build all the ferry aircraft that are kits at some point, and that one spoke to me when it came out last year from Dora Wings, so I've got that. And I've got one or two others. I've reviewed more and then they've been sold on or given away or whatever. But this is quite tempting. Now I know a lot of people were interested in the Jaguar. Whenever Airfix put out their little list and say, oh, what would you like to see us build, there was always lots of people asking for a Jaguar. Wonder what they'll be asking for now. Don't know. So lots of people will be happy to see this. Looks like a really decent model. I don't know for sure who designed it, but I suspect it was Paramji. It's got some of his hallmarks there. So you've got a model builder doing model designing. Always helpful, because they've got an understanding of how you would do certain things, not just build it, but paint it as you go and that sort of stuff. So there was some handy little templates in there, and little thing on the inside of the wheel so you could mount it on a cocktail stick to paint it, and all those sort of little bits. So other than one part that was really, really bad with sync, I mean dreadful, to the point where it's not really usable. You're going to have to shave all the parts off and rebuild it. The rest of it is lovely. And she looks nice. I mean, nice imagery with the sidewinders on. There's part of me really wants to do the Gulf War, because that's sort of, I remember the Jaguar from the Gulf War being on the news and what have you. Because I'm not really an aircraft buff, I've never really seen the Jaguar other than in Gulf War markings. But it has a lot less decals, and I like my decals, so I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to build it. But because it's undecided, I'm not getting rid of it out of the stash for now. We might well do. So anyway, a very nice kit. I was happy with it. If you've not seen the first impressions, go and catch it. You don't need to see anyone else's, because I cover it all in lots of detail. So that was Wednesday. Now, it's Wednesday now. and I've just finished work and I'm recording this, and I don't know what I'm doing for Friday yet. I've not edited a video for Friday yet. I will do that during the course of tomorrow. So I don't know whether it's Elizabethan 4. I don't know if it's Royal Barge 1 or whether it's actually Sherborne 17, because the latter is the only one I know I've definitely got enough material for. What I'm a little bit concerned about with the Sherborne videos though is the rigging will take a little bit more time, especially when we're doing shrouds and ratlines. They can be quite time consuming, even with only having 8 shrouds and 1 set of ratlines to do. You'd be surprised how long they can take, and you know, I've done them a few times before and I have a little way of working. Well, actually I've got 2 ways of working, and it depends on the model what I'm doing. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we look at the Sherborne on the bench, perhaps. I think that will probably be best, and you can understand where I'm going. So I don't know what you watched yesterday. All I can say is I hope you enjoyed it. My number 4 backup plan, if I've never got anything for a Friday, is just to live stream and have a chat and what have you. So I'm hoping that my week off on the run up to the Easter weekend will give me some catch-up time on my model building and get me a little bit ahead on video content that I can edit on the builds. I'm fine for first impressions. I've got months worth of first impressions, got stuff waiting to be recorded, and I'm relaxed about it because I've got loads and loads of time, but less so on the builds. So that's where my focus is. Plus also, as soon as I've finished Elizabethan and I hop back onto the other 2 builds, we'll have a bit of a tricky situation where there's not enough material for either of the Junkers or the Scharnhorst. So let's just quickly talk about that, actually, because I was asked about the Scharnhorst. So the Scharnhorst is currently temporarily parked for the Classic Kits group build, and we'll talk about that when we talk about what's on the bench. But the reason is, last time we did a group build, I finished the current project and then started the group build, which meant that a number of my group build videos of the B17 it was, ended up being shown after the closing date for the group build. So for me it didn't work. I wanted to make sure that the build was within the 6-month group build window. So I decided that we would pause Scharnhorst and the other plastic build, which was the Junkers from Mini Art, just to get that classic build done, and then I can jump back onto them. And then when we've done that, we've got the Tamiya Panzer 1 to do, which we're going to do just in Tamiya enamels and showcase Tamiya enamels, which are hard to get hold of, but they're great paints. And then it's the 50th anniversary of Space 1999. I grew up with it. You know, I was 5 when it came out, and I absolutely loved it. It was my favourite programme for at least a decade, and I still have a massive soft spot for it. I watch it relatively regularly. I'm probably word perfect on most episodes. So it's going to be really nice to build this big scale Eagle from Space 1999. You know, I thought about, should we start it on the 16th of September when the moon loses orbit and do a big thing about it? And then I thought, well, maybe we could build it and finish it on September the 16th, which I think is unlikely. But yeah, there you go. What we might do is we might do the build as normal, and I might keep all the video, which I don't usually do. I usually delete it as I go. Keep all the video and do a compressed build special, hour and a half, feature length, build in one video of the Eagle, and maybe put some history in and stuff. When we do the Eagle build, I plan to build it, the build episodes to be in Space 1999 episode format. So you've got all these episode titles we can draw from. Some of them will fit nicely, like Breakaway will fit very, very nicely for the first episode. Others we'll have to get a bit creative and maybe use a line or a quote from the episode or something like that. But we're going to have a bit of fun with it, basically, is what we're going to do. So I'm really looking forward to that, but I've got these other builds to get out of the way to get to it. So the upshot is Scharnhorst will be back soon. It's not going to take me long to get the Elizabethan done, because I am building it solidly 2 weeks out of every 3, theoretically. In fact, I've done it every other week for the last since I started it, because after a week of it I'm just ready for something else, so I do Sherborne's rigging. So yeah, there you go. So that's the plan. 2 pause builds. They'll both be back as soon as the Elizabethan is finished. I'm getting a lot of love for the Elizabethan. It's something a little bit different than what other channels are putting up. So yeah, that's the plan. Oh, I started that now. Well, that is the magic of live TV. I'll sort it in a minute. So yeah, that's where we are. So don't worry, we've not parked the Scharnhorst for good or even for a long time. We've just temporarily given it a quick pause while we get another ship out of the way. And then I promise you, other than the Scharnhorst, we won't be doing any other ships other than wooden ships after that for a little while. So I won't be doing anything plastic. I've got a lot on my plate with the wooden builds, because we've got another 3 builds to do from Vanguard, all aimed at beginners. We've got this Constitution coming, which I've still not received yet, which should be here this week, next week, week after, I'm not sure. I think what they've done is they've just set me up a free plan, but I've not heard anything more since, so I don't know what's going on there. But we will see. So I've got that to do, which I'm largely going to build off camera, but it's still build time. And then at some point, back end of the year-ish, Vanguard models will have Speedy out. There's no way I'm not starting Speedy as soon as it comes out, even if we do it as a slow build, and do it as a build updates only or something like that. I need to be getting Speedy out. It's going to be a popular kit, that. I know it is. Lots of people who've never built a wooden kit before are going to want to build it because they like the Master and Commander books / film. So there'll be a lot of people invested in it. So there's no way I'm not going to build it on the channel. I think that'll be great for the channel. Sorry, I keep saying Speedy when I mean surprise. Surprise is what we're talking about. So when the surprise comes out, I will build it. And what I'll probably do is not do it in beginner's style, but just build it and show you what I've done. I was even thinking that maybe on a Friday night we might do live building and build the wooden model on a Friday night. So after the build premiere finishes, do a live stream for an hour or 2 and just build surprise. I think people would enjoy that. It'll be quite a different format for me and for the channel, so we might give that a go. All stuff that's bouncing around in my head, and I think, you know, I've become a bit of a flag waver for Vanguard models, because I've built models from a number of different manufacturers, and Vanguard make them, I think, make the best kits. I really, really do. And because I believe in the kits so much, I want to, you know, I find it difficult to want to go and build something else. So I have become a bit of a flag waver, and I do want to sort of spread the word. So I think building it on the channel will absolutely help the Vanguard get out there, you know, and I think that's a good thing. Which I must say, and I meant to mention a couple of weeks ago and completely forgot, Vanguard have revamped their website, and it's actually really nice to navigate around. So if you've not been and had a look at the Vanguard's website, go and have a look. Have a look at their kits and accessories and books and tools and all that sort of stuff. I will leave a link down below, along with links to my 10% tool discount and 10% discount from Gaahleri, and yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and a link to get t-shirts, mugs and whatever else falderall that you like. Right, I think we've talked about what happened last week long enough. We've been all over the show, haven't we? Right then, what's next? On the bench. On the bench. So what did we get up to on the bench? 3 ships. Actually, 3 ships in 3 different mediums. You can't say you don't get variety on my channel. So let's start with the Royal Barge. It may look from the untrained eye that nothing's actually changed on the Royal Barge, but you'd be wrong. I've done the second coat of the burgundy, and let me just show you how gorgeous that is now looking. So that colour is now deeper after having second coat, more even obviously. So there's a little bit there on the bows, and you don't see any from the stern, but when you look at it top down, it's really, really nice. So that's enamel paints, and it's gone down really, really well. Got a little bit of touch up to do on the gold subsequently, but we pulled it off not so bad on this side. Not so bad at all. So next job on this is second coat on the blue, and then on this side we haven't done the blue at all, so we've got to do two passes of the blue on that side, and then touch up the gold and then gloss varnish it. We're gonna make this really shine. You'll notice that we've got some of the wood in at the front, so I was just test fitting that and I can't get it out. It's not coming out, and I don't want to risk breaking it in the process. So that's staying there. Now I might want to stain this yet. I don't know if it's staying that colour or not. Decision yet to be made. My thought process was sort of leave the anything that's going to be sat on in the pear wood, and the blades of the oars in the pear wood, and everything else I was going to give it, in fact I'll show you it, give it a stain in earth, which gives it a sort of almost mahogany type of look. And it's quite a nice stain. It's easy to work with, so if you want to sand it back and weather it and that sort of stuff, you can do, which I wouldn't do on this because that's not the intention. The intention is to have it, you know, in perfect condition. As you know, it would be a well-maintained little vessel, wouldn't it? So yeah, so that's sort of where I am with the barge. So we have progressed it a little bit. It's a case of pick it up when I've got a moment and do something. So I had paint drying on this, so we whacked down the second coat of that. So yeah, really happy with how that's going, and the burgundy I think is perfect for it. So the main build actually is Elizabethan, and we worked on it all last week up until Friday night when I sort of needed a break. So we did Friday night and Saturday morning on the Sherborne, and then we came back to the Elizabethan, and it might be looking a little bit on the bright side, But yeah, there you go. You might think she looks a little bit bright. You ain't seen nothing yet, honestly. Honestly, this is an Elizabethan ship, so we've got to paint it with Elizabethan colours. So that means we need triangles on there, and we need chevron stripes and all of that sort of stuff on there. So yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now, it's a little bit fanciful, but so's the model with all the turrets on and stuff. The whole thing's a bit fanciful. We've got some nice gold work on the stern there. Again, it's a little bit fanciful. So you can have a bit of artistic license and just have a play with it, and that's sort of where I am with it. And that makes it enjoyable when, as you'll have seen in part of the build, some of getting this together has been an utter nightmare. And it's not a serious build, if that makes sense. If this was a serious build and I had every intention of putting it on display, I wouldn't be just knocking it together like I am doing. There's a lot of stuff you could spend a lot of time correcting, perfecting, and I'm quite capable of doing it, but it would take months, and I haven't got months. So this is a knock together, paint it all up, go da-da. Right, next. So yeah, it's just a bit of fun, and my fun is always out of the building. I don't worry so much about displaying them. I'm not trying to build a museum of models that everyone's going to be wowed at. At the end of the day, I'm the only person in the house really that interested in them. You know, my partner will have a passing interest just to keep me sweet, I think. Having said that, the wooden ships, she's more interested in, and they even get allowed to be displayed in the living room. So it's already been approved that Sherborne can be displayed in the living room. That's how nice she thinks the model is, and she's really invested in the next one, in the little fishing boat. She thinks that's going to look gorgeous as well. Of course, she doesn't know my plans with it. She's only seen the box art. So we did do some work on Sherborne, and just a reminder, Sherborne is the first of 4 builds aimed at absolute beginners, where we take you through 4 builds with some differences which should give you a good grounding in going out and building wooden model ships, and progressing your own direction thereafter. And I know already that there's some of you planning to build all 4. What I'm trying to do is show you the different methods, so that if you're building something else, you can come across it and find it. I do intend at some point to do some little sort of snippet tutorial videos, so that people that haven't found the channel maybe come across them and find the builds that way. But we probably won't do that until we're either on the second 2 builds, or maybe stuck into one of the other builds that we've got coming along, and we might do a little how-to guides, 5-10 minutes, how to thread a dead eye, that sort of thing. And there's quite a few of those type of videos out there, so I'm in no rush to do that sort of stuff. But the Sherborne, she's looking really nice. I've just noticed something I need to remove there. A bit of rigging thread. So what we did with her Friday was, if we turn her front on, you will see we did the spar rigging. Now, the reason why I did this is because you'll be amazed how many times you bump these things and you can knock them off. So it's just helping giving them some support. You can see that's fairly stable. There's not much in the way of movement on them. I've already banged them several times, because when I've got my magnifying glasses on, they're quite big and chunky, and when I'm focusing down there, I bang them because you lose your peripheral vision when you've sort of zoomed in. So it can become a bit of a problem. So as though I try to be mindful about it, I still managed to bang them. So yeah. So anyway, what we did is we put the rigging threads on. There's another reason why I've done this now, and that I always have a problem with this, and I don't really know what the solution is, but when you put the shrouds on, the shrouds start from the dead eyes at this point here, but then they terminate round the mast here. So they're travelling through this line, and these lines are tied off behind the shrouds. So if you put these on after the shrouds, it's much more difficult because you've got to be working behind shrouds to tie them off. And then some people are sort of like, well, do they go between the shroud lines and what have you? So I prefer to put them on and work my shrouds around them so that these are nice and taut and straight as they should be. So that's why I've done them now, which is slightly out of sequence to the instructions, I think, off the top of my head. So I did that just to secure them. What I can't find though is instructions for securing the top line. I'm going to go back through it, but at the back of the build manual there are images with it tied off on two little blocks against the cleats on the top here. But I don't see anything on the plans for it at all, or any reference in the book. So I mean, we can do something at the end if there's nothing on there, because it's above everything else, so it'll be nice and easy to do at the end if we need to. But yeah, I'm sure I must have missed something. Absolutely sure I must have missed something. But there is absolutely, definitely nothing shown in terms of blocks or thimbles off here on the mast plans, which is where you would sort of expected it. So yeah, interesting. Anyway, I still haven't put this boom down. So the boom is still sort of loose. So that's my next job, is to secure the boom. And then when we've secured the boom, what we'll do is we'll put the lower line on the bowsprit and secure the bowsprit in place. Then we're on to shroud. So we've got a little bit of work to do first. I like to make sure that everything's rigid, because we're going to put some lines on the bowsprit which can pull it. So I want to lock it into place. And it's like what you can see we're doing here. So we've done the block that comes off the line that's attached to this spar here, and that comes down on this side, and then this spar has it come down on the other side. They're actually two different heights, which I hate because it messes with my symmetry, but anyway, on the plans they're two different heights, so that'll be to do with leverage, I guess, don't know. But we've put those on, but when we do this side, I show you in the video, we put it on and we put weights on, and then we tie it off on one side and then tie it off on the other side, so that we're not pulling the mast over. I mean, some people get a little bit over the top about it and dangle weights that point to a point on a ruler to make sure that the mast hasn't shifted. We don't need to go that far, but you do need to be, it's a bit like tightening nuts on a wheel. You need to do it in sequence, otherwise it's going to wobble a bit. So it's the same with doing your rigging. We'll talk all about it though. Had to come up with a new way of filming, because filming rigging, the camera goes right past the lines and sees what's behind it, so it just would not focus in. Even if I manually focused, it would automatically adjust and take its eye off. So actually filming rigging has been quite a challenge. The other thing that I've not yet done is with these lines, is show you how to get a shape into these lines and keep it there. So what we've done is we've weighted this to sort of give it a little bit of basic shape, but what we need to do is get that into a nice even shape so it looks good and you've not got this little kink and all that sort of stuff in it. So there's a little technique I developed. I don't know, I've never seen anyone else use it, so I might be the only person who does it this way, and that might be for a reason. It might be nonsense, but it works for me, and I will show it you at some point, and we'll do that before the shrouds go on as well. So a few things there to work through before we get to shrouds. So if you're excited to see the shrouds go on, a couple of weeks away from that yet, I think. Right then, stash ads. More to talk about than you think. Obviously, This one we've done, we've filmed it, it's gone, it's dead, it's history. You know all about it. This one, you know nothing about. In fact, this is the only one of 3 stash ads that you guys haven't seen, that the members don't even know about. So all the others, I've shared a picture in the social group and people are aware of it, and we'll talk about them 1 week at a time, bring them out and share them with you in stash ads. And that way we've got time to talk a bit about each kit and why we've got them. This one I touched on last week because it's the one that I was forced to buy from Jadlam. So we're not likely to talk about this one next week though, because of another one. I'll explain all in a minute. But yeah, this is the one I've been forced to buy. I'm so glad I bought it though. I have built this one before in a slightly different format, and there is some very, very minor differences, and I'm really quite looking forward to revisiting this as a build. So this is another one that's to stay in the stash. I say that a lot, don't I? Yeah, in my mind I've got 200 years of building time, and you know, doesn't matter how many kits I've got that then, does it? So this one we'll talk about in the future, but I've bought a classic matchbox kit, quite large scale, and we've got a very rare classic Airfix ship, which I was so glad to get hold of. And actually what we're going to do is we're going to film the first impressions of it, and then we're paying it forward to a good friend of the channel, a member, and helps out with my social group. So we're gonna pay that forward to him, and yeah, that will be nice, because I know that person has been looking for that kit for some time. Now I quite fancy building the kit myself. Realistically, am I gonna get time? Possibly not. So I'd rather it went to a good home, but I really want to do the first impressions of it. Now, having said that, I have something coming from Ukraine, and if it arrives in time for next Wednesday, we will be focusing on that as the first impressions. It's a wooden kit of a Viking ship, and I ordered it back in January, and I think those of you that like wooden ship kits, you may well be aware of it. One of the wooden modelling channels that I follow, and actually that I'm a paid member of, has also built a certain part of it. Doesn't tend to finish any of the builds, and so some of you may be familiar with it, but I'm really interested to see what it's like. It's a real builder's model. It's not that expensive, but it's a huge model, and it's a real builder's model, as in, you know, you've got to stain everything, and there's stuff that's not done that you need to do. So yeah, but we'll talk about that next week if it comes. I say if it comes because I got hit by Parcel Force today in this morning's mail, who are after £48.55 to clear it through customs for me. So I'll do that after the video. Not begrudgingly, you know. It is what it is. It's taken a long time to get the kit to me because of all the power cuts in Ukraine, and that meant they've struggled to get some parts and bits and pieces. But yeah, if you like your wooden ships, you'll be definitely interested in that. So so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stash ads I've yet to talk about on the channel, all to come in the next 5 weeks, unless of course Airfix release something else and that gets thrown into the mix. Who knows? You just do not know. Anyway, there you go. That's where we are with stash ads. Right then, news. Number of things to talk about, including a new feature that we're going to kick off next week. So news, I'm sort of dropping because I haven't quite got it to fit into the video. So some of the things that we've been talking about in news, such as the garden that came back last week, we will do in the future in the sort of opening bit on what did we get up to last week, and you know, we can talk about where the garden is and what the family's been doing and that sort of stuff in that slot, I think. But for this week we've still got it, so let's start with a quick update on the garden. Right then, garden update. We have growth. So I think these are shallots as memory serves, might be wrong. And magnolia is budding. I've had to do a temporary intervention, not sure if it's squirrels or cats, but someone's been having a dig. But we've got something coming up there which I think might be spinach. You can see the rhubarb is flowering, which is nice to see. But we've got some good thick old rhubarb in there. So won't be long before we can have our first batch of that. Gooseberries are going for it, so that's a good sign. Clematis is going, and we have we call it the bluebell bush because the flowers are like bluebells, and that is budding as well, so that's all good. Lots of strawberries dropping around. I do really like these snake skin flowers. They're always a joy every year, and this year we've got some over there as well. Over here you can see lots of things coming to life. Solomon's seal there, that came out of the family home down in Sussex. And as we come over here, chives are doing well. That rosemary is flowering, which is nice. You can eat those flowers. So my herbs are all looking good, and we've got garlic there as well, which has sprouted since we planted them a couple of weeks ago. So this month we can plant the runner beans, so we'll be doing that soon. So there you go, things are going along nicely. I think we'll be tucking into our first spot of rhubarb in the next week or so, so that'll be all good. Now then, if you're a member of the Model Kit Stuff channel, as in a paid member, and you're in the social group, then this is April's giveaway. You should have registered your interest by now, so I will be drawing the name using the randomizer and getting that out to you in the next day or two. So this will be shipped to whoever wins completely free, gratis and for nothing on me. So there you go, quite a nice little kit, just I'm not going to build it, so let's pay it forward to someone. So there you go, another benefit of being a member. We do from time to time give stuff away. We've done it the last few months, doesn't mean we're necessarily going to do it every month, but I do have some stuff to give away next month, now I say that. So yeah, that's the members giveaway, so make sure that you've registered your interest, because I will probably draw this tomorrow, and then I can get it in the post on Monday. Now, in other news, Peter Oxley, good friend of the channel, he's been doing his Matchbox march that he always does, but he has, as if you follow the channel, he does a lot of ICM kit reviews. He has a bit of a relationship with ICM, so they send him kits, he reviews them, and he's now going to sell a rump of them off for auction to raise money for Ukrainian charities. Don't know which charity yet, not sure when he's having the auction, but it'd be worth getting over to his channel and subscribing so you don't miss that when it happens. There is a kit that I really want, and I've bid £100 for it, which is roughly double what it's worth, but the money's going to a good cause. I've just got to drop him the funds, and then he'll send that over to me. So that'll then be another stash ad, won't it? You know, this I'm not buying many kits this year, it's not going so well. Anyway, it's a kit that he reviewed and I really fancied, and one of the members has built part of the kit and shared the build in the social group, and I just keep looking at it and going, yeah, I need to build that. So yeah, and it's like a little diorama in a box type thing. So yeah, that's other news. So as soon as I know what the dates are for that, I will formally support that and say, right, everyone get out to Peter Oxley. I'll probably put a little video up saying, look, go and check it out. Right, now then, last thing to talk about in news, I think, unless I've forgotten something, which is quite possible, is a new spot. So like I say, we're ditching news, and instead we're going to replace it with something called Q and A. Think you can probably work that out. Well, I've been thinking about doing this for a little while, and I've been thinking about doing it as like a standalone video where viewers get the opportunity to ask questions, preferably modelling related, but you know, if you desperately need the meaning of life, I'll have a stab at it. But the idea is that you ask some questions, and then in the video I will give you the answers, or take the question away and turn it into a video to demonstrate an answer. Or, you know, so if I got a question such as, what's your technique for weathering oil drums or something like that, I might be able to say, well, I did that in this video, go and check out this link. Or I might be able to go, do you know what, here's a 5-minute, I'll take that away, we'll do a 5-minute video and show you how to do it at some point. But the intention really is for me to be able to give you an answer in this video. So to kick that off, I have a request, and that is in the comments below, please ask a question. And then I've got some questions to start this off, and then next week we'll launch it and we'll put it on the thumbnail, launching the Q&A session. And it just will expand what Table Talk does a little bit. I'm trying to make it something that has a discussion within it, as well as talking about what's going on in the channel. Because some weeks there's not a lot to say that I didn't say the week before, one way or another. Although I always manage to find something to talk about, don't I? But yeah, I thought that would be a nice little, so rather than doing a little standalone video, which actually would take extra time and more editing, let's just do it here, which creates no extra work for me, and it gives us a little bit of content that people might find interesting. So we're going to replace the news slot with Q&A, and what we'll do next week is any questions that get put in the comments below, we will read them out, and then I will do my best to answer them one way or another. And I'll just, you know, as I always do on the channel, I'll give you an honest answer from my point of view. You know, other people, other channels, they'll have different points of view, and it's okay for other people to be wrong. It's fine. It's fine. I might edit that out, and then I might not. Right then, what's coming up next week? This is interesting. On Monday, we've got our first impressions, a little one. And when I say little, I mean little scale, 172, and you know, you're probably thinking aircraft, but no, 172 vehicle. Now, this is a kit that was lent to me quite some time ago, in fairness, but may even have been about a year ago. Yeah, it really surprised me, because I haven't really bought 172 vehicles since I was a young teenager. I went on to 135 vehicles at around about 15. So a lot of my 172 vehicles were probably 176 if I think about it. You know, all the Matchbox stuff is 176, isn't it? And some of the Airfix stuff was at that time, or a lot of it actually. So it was really nice to review a 172 scale vehicle and see just how far they've come in 30 something years. So yeah, an interesting first impression, something a bit different that we've not done before on the channel. Wednesday, I've not recorded this yet, but we're going to be reviewing a box set of paints from Vanguard Models, which is aimed at the period of ships that they primarily produce. So that'll be interesting. It'd be interesting for me partly because it's a paint range I've never really wanted to buy into. Some people swear by them. I have bought their paints before and haven't got on with them in jars, but these are different. These are in squeezy bottles, I think. So yeah, we're going to have a look at that set, because by the time we get to the build 3, you might want to be investing in some different paints for some more colourful builds. So this might be an option. So yeah, we've got that coming along on the Wednesday. I've just got to film it. And then on Friday, hopefully, it'll be Elizabethan, regardless of whether we had Elizabethan yesterday or not. I should have enough material for that by then, I hope. Otherwise, it could be the barge, or it could be a live stream. Who knows? Anyway, that's what's coming up next week. Now, not this, next weekend I won't actually be here. I'm leaving my daughter in charge of the house, and me and Paula, we're heading off for the weekend. Now there will still be a table talk, but the Friday video may not be a premiere, or it might be a premiere and I don't attend it. I don't know. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, I'll be away, but then the following week I'm off, so I'll catch up on my modelling time I missed at the weekend, and plus some. So that's the plan anyway. Now the other thing that's coming up next week is I've got a big Lego set being delivered. £400+ worth of Lego. Now I have filmed Lego on here a couple of times before. We did an X-Wing fighter stop motion. I'd never done stop motion before. That was quite good fun. And we built a little car. Now one or two of the members also like building Lego, so I thought it'd be fun to do just some little bag by bag videos. So what we'll do is we'll do quite short videos, me building the model one bag at a time, and the video will be just building that one bag. There's something like 42 bags in this Lego set. I'm not going to say anything more than that, other than it's not Star Wars, because some of you will be automatically on that size thinking it's Star Wars. It's not. My thing is more buildings, to be honest. So yeah, it's just going to be a bit of fun and something that I can do quickly in my lunch break, or what have you, and just build one bag at a time. I'm in no rush to build it, so it should be a lot of fun. So we'll just chuck that out one bag at a time as it comes. So I'm expecting that to be delivered in the next couple of days, and so that will be coming up from next week at some point, someday, don't know. Well, I think that's it for this week. I've got to say, it's lovely and sunny outside. It's 17 degrees here. I'm in my t-shirt, and the garden's looking good, and all is well with the world. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for following the content this week. I look forward to bumping into you in the comments and in the build on Friday. And until I see you next time, you enjoy your modelling. Bye for now.